Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Newscast, where I go over the top news of the last week in retro handhelds, retro gaming, and just gaming in general. No emulator news this week. We're having a focus on devices for a lot of them, and then some game news. So let's just jump right in. First up in device news, the Switch got an update to 18.0.0. But the general idea is they made it more stable because that's basically all they've done since the Switch released. Now, I wouldn't normally talk about a Switch update, but the reason that I do this time is because it does break modded Switches, which I think anybody who has a modded Switch should know by now not to update until Atmosphere updates. And that might be a few weeks from what I was told and what I could tell. So just keep it in mind, don't update just yet. Keep on waiting, and I'm sure you'll know as soon as it's safe to update. Now we have a new mini console, and this is the Atari 400 Mini. And it basically emulates all of the Atari 8-bit systems, so the 400 all the way up to the 800 XL, and it includes the Atari 5200. It's coming out on April 1st, apparently, and it has 25 built-in games, a 720p HDMI support, and it can do 4:3 aspect ratios and a lot more. I think there's save states and load states and all of that. Check it out if you're interested in an old school Atari. It looks pretty cool. Then we have the biggest news of the week, and it's the new Anbernic RG35XX 2024. Because this isn't going to get confusing at all. You might be wondering, well, what exactly is new with this one? How much better could it be? We just got the 35XX Plus. There is the 35XX Original. And now we have a 35XX 2024. So what's new? The answer is this should have been called the RG35XX Minus. And hold on to your hats for this one, because the feature list is going to be a big one. But it doesn't have Wi-Fi, doesn't have Bluetooth. It has less battery, so it's a 2600 milliamp hour battery compared to the 3300 in the Plus. And it has the same triggers from the original 35XX. And all of this is in the new shell of the 35XX Plus with the 35XX Plus's chip. Pricing wise, this is $50 right now on Anbernic's website. You can go and purchase it if you wanted to. The 35XX Plus on normal pricing is $64. So for $14 less, you lose Wi-Fi, you lose Bluetooth, you lose battery, and you lose better triggers. Now, there's lots of speculation as to why they did this. They could have ran out of chips for the original 35XX since this is replacing it. They could have wanted to standardize on H700 chips since that's what the Plus and the H use. They could have wanted to standardize on the shell and all of that. None of those reasons really make sense because in all of those scenarios, the main difference here is you are saving $14. Why not just stick with the Plus as your main one and maybe spend some development money on that instead of wasting it on all of this? Because the Plus could use some looking at a little bit. This doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form. Honestly, the 35XX 2024 is just a waste of everybody's time, and it's not something I'm going to be covering on my channel, at least. I don't see a reason to. The only specific benefit of this one is that it has the original colors of the 35XX. So if you've been waiting for that transparent purple and the gray and all of that, it has it. But other than that, there is absolutely no reason you should be buying one of these unless it ends up being something that's like a $10 or $20 item. Because we've even seen the Plus go on sale for like $42, so I don't see a reason to purchase this. But Anbernic decided that they were releasing bad news this week, and then they decided to just leak out some good news this week. And we got some videos of the upcoming RG35XX SP. This whole naming convention is just driving me bonkers. 35XX 2024, 35XX Plus an H, 35XX Original, 35XX SP. I can't anymore. I just can't. But anyways, some things to notice on this new 35XX SP. There's an LED on top with the Anbernic logo, and the LED shines when it's open, and when you close it, it turns off, and that's pretty cool. The device is also the same size as a Game Boy Advance SP, and it has the same look on the inside for buttons and D-pad and all of that, except the fact that the Anbernic has 2 added buttons, of course, where the Game Boy Advance SP only had the 2. There's the front-firing speaker, the D-pad, the start and select, and all of that are in the same spots as you would expect on a Game Boy Advance SP. There was also a second video shown, and it's the white model. I don't know if these are going to be just testing models or if they're real colors. I would love to see blue. But on the white model, you can see the hinge opening up, and it basically goes completely flat. So I think it's, 180 degrees? 180 degrees. It goes a full 180 degrees, and so that's a lot better. We'll see how the hinge actually holds up, but it looks to be pretty sturdy from the video. And then you can also see the power and reset buttons on the side, and the L2 and R2 and L1 and R1 triggers. Still waiting on that Retroid Pocket Flip 2, but maybe it's coming after all of this. Xbox was in the news quite a bit this week with an interview that Phil Spencer did with Polygon. The general idea here is Phil seems to love his Lenovo Legion Go and doesn't seem to be a fan of the software experience. And it wasn't Lenovo Legion Go specific, he just means as a whole when it comes to these types of handhelds. And so he was just writing down some thoughts and giving some thoughts on what he would do differently if he were to make one of these in an Xbox style. He basically wanted to boot into an Xbox app and make it look and feel like the Xbox consoles that we know. And that's a pretty good idea and something that I would love to see as well. But the general gist of this is it kind of hints that Xbox is considering or looking at making their own handheld, and whether it's just going to be an Xbox in a handheld form or an Xbox with Windows behind it that you can swap between the two or something else, we'll have to see. Personally, I'm of two minds here. The first is it shouldn't have taken this long for Phil to realize that the Xbox app on PC is not very good. So maybe they can devote some resources to making that a better experience first. Second, if they're going to be doing this, I am absolutely fine with an Xbox style front end where Windows is running in the background and I can swap to it. Very similar in the way that the Steam Deck works. But the main issue that I have with that is it kind of puts you into that Xbox ecosystem and makes you want to live there. And so I would rather just have a normal Windows handheld instead of something that's locked down like that. That's just me. I know a lot of people would love an Xbox style handheld that is basically just Xbox in a Windows handheld, and you won't even see Windows at all. But for me, who likes to tinker and do all of that, I would love to have Windows behind it. But for everybody else, anybody new to the space, I could see an Xbox handheld doing really well if they could get that whole experience down and proper. Then just more Xbox news here, but there's going to be a new Xbox Series X in white, and it's going to be digital only, and it's supposed to release in the summer of this year. No major changes to it, it's just white and digital only, so there you go. In Powkitty news this week, we got a first look at the mold for the upcoming RGB20SX. For those that don't remember what this is the RGB20S with an RK3566 and the RGB30's 1x1 screen. Not much to say here. It looks a little top heavy and it should be an interesting device when it comes out. We'll have to see what it actually releases with too, now that they lost support for the custom firmware that they were working with. Maybe they'll just do their own build, but ArcOS should work on this, it seems. We'll have to see what actually happens when it releases, but that's my hope. Last on our device news, the hardware manufacturer Orange Pi is releasing a new device called the Neo, and it's going to be $499 and it has a 7840 Ryzen chip inside. It's got dual trackpads, it's got down-firing speakers, there's Hall triggers, LED lighting, a 7-inch screen, and there's a 120 Hz refresh rate. There's a lot more, there's a full spec sheet out, and you'll see it in the link that I include. Not sure it's going to be a handheld for me, but should be interesting for a lot of people, especially at that price. So we'll see when it releases how it actually does. The release is supposed to be Q2 of 2024 at some point. If my videos have been helping you, consider supporting me on Patreon, or just give this video a like and a sub. All of it helps my channel grow. Now we come to game news, and Star Ocean Second Story R has an update. This is version 1.1 and has a few different things. There's a new higher difficulty, there's new raid enemies, there's new equipment, and there's more. I haven't even started this game yet. I was waiting on a bigger discount. Plus, I actually haven't played the original yet, as much as Stubbs talks about it so much, but I'll get there. And it's good to see that at the point that I will get there, it'll be a more complete game with all of these updates, the same way that every modern game is nowadays. But sometimes you can't wait, like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and you just have to play it. Last on our game news, and thanks to Mr. Benny for this one, but it's Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo. For those that like modern games with retro aesthetics and gameplay, Pipistrello will be releasing soon on PC. It's 2D, top-down, and it's developed by Pocket Trap, who also made Dodgeball Academia and Ninja Clash of Carrots. It looks pretty cool. I suggest checking it out. You're running around throwing a yo-yo, so I'm not sure what else you need. I don't know if Nintendo will come after them because it's too similar to NES, but we'll figure it out. By the way, did I miss a topic that you really want to hear discussed? Top comment with the words Newscast topic will be featured on next week's show. That's all from me, Calgary.